Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Praise World, Series 3, Episode 2, Post Eurogamer. I'm Kenneth Henry. With me today are Mantis on the forum.
Hello.
Ian, also known as Snowy, with or without the forum dog.
She's
Hello?
downstairs barking at the moment.
Oh, okay. And our special guest, star of his own YouTube video series, Tanks Fridge, which we all know and love.
Yeah, good one.
It's Richard, aka Tank.
How you doing, guys?
Right.
I like to point out that when he says special guest, I'm not special like special.
Celebrity.
Celebrity. Yeah, I'm not got a bell on or anything. People thinking that.
Hey, at least he remembered who you are.
That's true.
Poor
Yeah,
Ian.
true. Yeah.
We'll redo the intro. Don't worry.
It's all right. No, don't. People want raw footage, and it doesn't get any more raw than this.
What, they're forgetting everyone's names?
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
thanks.
Professional.
Exactly. The show's going to be mainly split up into two sections because it's only 1 week since the Eurogamer 2012 show, but there have also been a whole slew of big new games released from the August bank holiday to now. Who's been playing what, first of all? Guild Wars 2 was the August bank holiday, wasn't it?
Was indeed.
Yes.
Was, and that was probably the only one I've actually played.
Right.
I'm going to stick my hat in the ring here and tell you that I've just shined off 55 hours of Borderlands 2.
Ah, yes, that's the other big game. Right.
What's Ian been playing?
I've been playing both of the above. Borderlands 2 when I can turn Guild Wars 2 off.
Right, I'm gonna get the ball rolling with Borderlands 2.
Yeah, go on.
I in no way expected it to be this good. It is filled with pop culture humour that even if the game had been terrible, the humour would have kept it going for me.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really play that much of the first one. I enjoyed it, but it was one I dipped in and out of. Never really got round to getting properly hooked on it. And I picked up the second one because I enjoyed the first one, and even though it's more of the same, I'm enjoying it a lot more. Whether it's just got its hooks in this time, I don't know. But yeah, so it's very, very good.
Yes, absolutely. It's I definitely found this time that the characters, their humour was far more refined. Definitely, a lot of the jokes. There's a lot of pop culture references in there. Some not so good. There's a lot of jokes that are based around internet memes, which, yeah, internet memes are probably only funny the first time you see them. Then after that, they tend to go downhill pretty quickly. So when they start appearing in Borderlands 2, like my Commando, for example, every now and then I'll kill someone with one bullet from the sniper rifle, and he'll just say, "Cool story, bro." And I was like, oh, I didn't like it when I see it on a forum, let alone when my character's spouting it. But yeah, what can you do?
I did have to laugh when I was in Sanctuary and just talked to some random passerby who said, "I used to be a Vault Hunter like you until I took a bullet to the knee."
Actually, I know I shouldn't
such a throwaway line, and I shouldn't find it funny because it was so overdone, but it was funny.
Did anyone else hear the Arrested Development and the Jurassic Park references?
I may not have got to them, but no, I've not picked them up.
Alright, I had a Goliath that was pounding me into the ground, and as it was killing me, it was repeating Tobias's line from Arrested Development. It was just going, "How are you?" It was saying it really slowly as it was pounding me into the ground. And I was like, okay, didn't expect to hear that. Then I had a Goliath that was screaming, "Fences are failing all over the park." And I was just, why is he screaming that random line from Jurassic Park? But it just made it all the more bizarre. For a split second, you don't shoot because you're like, what did he just say?
To be honest, don't think I'd have picked up on that if I'd
No,
heard
I
it, because that is probably the most vague line you could have fished out of that movie.
You see, this is why I don't have a girlfriend. I pick up on stuff like that, and I was like, no girl on this planet is going to be sat next to me like, "Did you hear that, love? And isn't that great? Yeah, brilliant, marvellous." Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Okay, I mean, we'll put it this way. I mean, what other than these modern memes and these running internet gags, etc., and film gags, I mean, how does it amp things up compared to the first one?
A lot of guns.
There is a lot of guns.
Yeah. The action somehow has been like tenfold. I mean, I don't know what Ian's experience of it was, but I played a Commando, which is like just the soldier class, and his special ability is he drops a turret. By the time I'd upgraded that to fire more accurately, to fire quicker, and fire rockets as well, it was like unleashing a small army.
Right.
every time I dropped it. I didn't experience that in Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 was quite a refined experience for me. It was quite compared to this one, it's quite restricted. So very, very good, very extraordinary experience. I don't know if Ian feels the same way, but it was quite incredible.
Yeah, it is like playing in your own comic book.
Yes.
I'm playing as the assassin,
Mhm.
and so I mean I'm just a walking headshot machine now. That does absolutely ludicrous levels of damage every time you do it.
Mhm.
It's just a really good laugh. I think I enjoyed the first one because I played co-op to start with, and a bunch of mates, we all played it co-op a few times.
Mm.
And then everyone kind of drifted off and did their own thing from there. And I never really got it single player. It didn't work for me as a single player title. I think I spoilt it by playing co-op first. And then this time around I did exactly the same, played co-op again, and then just started playing single player.
Mm.
And I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, but I have got my Guild Wars guild badgering me to get leveled.
I think
kind of curtailed.
Borderlands is probably one of the franchises which has really benefited from having a sequel, because the first game was obviously a brand new IP which was sort of testing the ground a little bit, and it feels like a bit of a prototype for what they went on to do with the second game, because there's a lot of things in the first game which I didn't like, which apparently are a lot better in the sequel, which they've improved upon.
Well, one of the most readily identifiable things they fixed was, are you all familiar with when you go into near-death mode in Borderlands? If you die,
Second wind.
yeah, you get an opportunity. If you kill someone or something, you can come back to life. You get the second chance. I noticed in Borderlands 1, sometimes when you would go into second wind mode, all the enemies would run away. They would leave you to die. And that was so irritating because it would kind of defeat the purpose of having that second wind kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in Borderlands 2, they don't do that now. They stick around and try and kill you quicker, which is really useful. Because I used to hate that so much. You'd get to second wind mode, and you'd be like, oh, just one person, let me kill you. And they'd all run off or they'd hide. They'd be like, oh, man. But no, they don't do that anymore, which is good.
Okay, 55 hours in.
Mm-hmm.
You've both you and Ian have had massive co-op experiences and done the SP as well. I mean, put it this way: is it just the one story and there's no separate co-op missions?
Right. Well, to shock you, I actually haven't played it co-op at all.
Okay.
Someone on RPS, I don't know their name, he said it was really strictly a co-op affair, and I really disagree. I think it lends itself to single player very well.
It does, but if you get a group of people playing who you haven't got somebody who's just going to rush off and blast through, do everything on their own and race ahead and loot everything, and you're all on voice comms, it works brilliantly because it's just such a daft game, and tactics can be used quite nicely in it as well. It plays really well as a co-op game, especially if you each take a different character class.
Because the first Borderlands, I only really briefly played it co-op, and I did enjoy what I played. Borderlands 2, I don't. Multiplayer and co-op really a bit alien to me. I don't do that much of it, and with Borderlands 2, I wanted to make it a single player affair, and I just have to say I've really enjoyed it. But I fully understand it probably is amazing co-op. And I've got a friend at the moment who I'm badgering to purchase it when it no doubt goes in a Steam sale, and then we can go from there. But no, I think single player, it's been an absolute blast. I'd recommend it to anyone, single player. So yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone at the moment who's looking for a shooter that really just does not take itself that seriously. Like it's very self-referential. It really does have a pop at itself a lot, which is really good because Borderlands 1, it did ride off the back of a lot of, it came out sort of when Fallout was still fresh in everyone's heads, and it was talking about searching a wasteland looking for a vault, which was a bit like, where have I heard that before? But didn't matter this time round. Just extraordinarily good fun.
Okay, we've done a decent chunk on Borderlands there. Let's move. In fact, so now let's move on to the other big addiction, Guild Wars 2. How's it been?
It's brilliant. It's It's an MMO with all of the that I've hated in every previous MMO.
You mean all of the
30-bit
shite,
style.
don't you?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, all the daily quests, all the grind, all the reputation, all the treacle that you have to wade through in order to keep you paying a monthly sub, because you're not paying a monthly sub. They've just completely dispensed with, and instead just put stuff in that's going to be fun. So I've got into a cow suit to teach some cows to defend themselves against worms, and there's all sorts of silly things that I've done in addition to the usual running around killing things. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you don't like MMOs, you might not like it, because there's it's still hotkeys and all the rest of it, but it's done sufficiently differently, I think, and the player versus player element is the best since Dark Age of Camelot. But they've basically lifted the whole Dark Age of Camelot player versus player, which was the best thing about Dark Age of Camelot, and yeah, it's superb. Looks amazing. It's absolutely massive. Real work of art.
Sort of coming off the back of what Ian said there, I've really not played a lot of MMOs in the past. I played Warcraft briefly a couple of years ago. Then I played Old Republic a lot because, being a huge Star Wars fan, I really wanted to get into it, and I kind of missed Star Wars Galaxies. So when I saw my friend playing Guild Wars 2 in beta, I was quite intrigued by it. It looked amazing. It seemed to do a lot of stuff differently. So thanks to Jez on the forum, I got my hands on a copy. And yeah, I have to admit, I've really been enjoying it. It's a very streamlined experience, in a good way. It doesn't feel like it's had stuff removed. It just feels like it's had it refined, which really does make a difference. I think it has a very nice art style as well. It's not over the top or anything like that. It's just a far more, again, I hate to repeat myself, but a far more refined experience, which I would, recommend to a lot of people, because it's a very different MMO experience from what I can gather.
To be honest, for me, it doesn't really feel a whole lot like an MMO at all, because there's just no rush to the end game content, and there's no sense that you have to grind your way through the game. So I've been sort of approaching it more like I would a single player game, and just playing it for a couple of hours every few days. And
Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing for you?
Yeah, because it feels a lot more casual. It just feels like I could just dip into it when I feel like doing a few quests and exploring a little bit, and there's no rush, because there isn't really any end game content when you reach level 80 beyond grinding for like exotic weapon skins and stuff. So, but it performs at the same level as the basic stuff that you'd have. So, skins isn't really my cup of tea. I don't play games to unlock extra artwork and stuff for your character. So
you'll never play Tribes again then.
No, so it's just a lot more of a casual approach than I would have normally taken to any other MMO.
It's worth pointing out that there's sorry to go back to it, but there's quite a big skin unlock thing in Borderlands 2 as well. But there's definitely, this time, there's a lot of leaning on customization, which is what I like about Guild Wars 2. Like, you walk around and you unlock rare dyes and things like that for your outfits, and you see people like are only very low level characters, but they go around with very extravagant outfits on. I think a lot of people do like that. A lot of people respond well to that.
I think there are a lot of people playing Guild Wars who are totally colourblind as well, because some of the characters walking around look like refugees from the 80s. There's that much fluorescent colour on their...
Are you finding them offensive to the eye, Ian?
Just a little. Although saying that I managed to pick up a silver dye, not realise that it was rare and worth an absolute fortune on the auction house, and just dumped it on a character that I don't play anymore. Which was a bit gutting when someone said, oh yeah, you can sell that for like, 50, 60 silver, which is a king's ransom to a lowly character. Damn.
It happens. What can you do?
I keep forgetting, it's another big RPG where Jeremy Saul's done the music. So is it a different kind of theme to anything in his Elder Scrolls work?
Oh, is it
I didn't actually realise that.
It is
nor did I.
fairly similar. What I'd say about the soundtrack is that I haven't really noticed it, because
I'm wondering whether that's a good or bad thing.
It seems that there's obviously the main theme from Guild Wars is in there in its new format, but apart from the main theme playing every so often, I haven't really noticed any background music at all. It's a lot more ambient.
It is. It does suit quite well. It works. You're walking around these sort of very pretty woodlands or snowy areas or whatever, and the background music is just almost continuing to draw the picture for you orally instead of visually.
I think a standalone, it's not like he's composed an amazing symphony that you buy the soundtrack and just bang it on and listen to it, but within the context of the game, it fits really well.
Because the special edition soundtrack pack is 4 CDs again. So I just bet that the full CD is probably a bunch of sound effects.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that there is actually 4 CDs worth of music because it's just, you just notice it's so little.
Right.
I think there seems to be a very big push on incidental scores in it. Like I've noticed sometimes when an event kicks off, there's a tiny little bit of music that may only last 30 or 40 seconds, but I guess that would be one whole track on the CD.
Right.
Which wouldn't surprise me. But to be honest, the only bit of music I would recognise now is that main theme when I log in. Like when I hear that always strikes a chord. But then after that, I barely recognise the music, and that's not a pop at the music. It just perhaps that, if anything, it's indicative to how good it is. It just plays in the background and it sets a tone, and that's that.
I must say it can't be that impressive because I had the music turned down this morning, and I was playing to the delicate strains of Entombed. Just worked for me.
What I did with Skyrim was I just bought the soundtrack, didn't buy the game. Did the same with Oblivion until it was reduced to a $5. So I imagine basically I'll just end up buying the music for this again because it's still chill. The game has sold so many million so quickly that it's not really coming down in price over the 2 months. So the soundtrack is about 17 quid in English money. So I'll probably end up getting that instead of the game.
I got very lucky with Guild Wars 2. Jez had a copy kicking around.
Yeah.
He'd ordered 2 by accident, so I got lucky there, but I was quite surprised at how much it's kept its value.
It sent me back £65 for a digital copy.
Bloody hell.
I know.
Were you not tempted just to pay the extra 40 and get the big-ass collector's edition?
No, because I don't really do collector's editions because, well, you don't get anything in them really.
Oh, except, I mean, basically, I think only steel books are really worth it in terms of, if you drop them, they won't break.
True, but I'm a sucker for anything that's in it that I can put on my shelves that is related to the game. For example, like
the little Hitman doll. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but
the little Hitman doll. I'm so glad we've got those now. No, you don't have to buy the special edition.
I mean, I'd have to. My special edition I go back to every time is my Fallout 3 lunchbox edition.
Yeah.
That came with the lunchbox and a bobblehead.
Right.
That's fantastic. That's
it was literally a lunchbox.
That's 2 things from the game that are instantly recognisable.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. I remember
is the bobblehead that kind of Tintin lookalike with doing the thumbs up?
No. This one's got his arms crossed and it's just Vault-Tec.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that takes pride of place right next to my monitor. I'm looking at it right now.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, we're getting into a whole other subject about special editions. But yeah,
were you tempted by the special edition Borderlands 2 with the legendary chest? The full-size in-game chest.
My local shop where I used to work at Game, they only had 3 come in stock: 2 for the 360, 1 for the PS3, none for the PC.
Right.
And the person apparently who brought the PS3 one traded it in a couple of days later. Because he realised someone had told him he could trade it back in for an awesome amount of money, buy another copy of Borderlands 2 and attempt it. I don't know, more money than sense. But apparently, I can't remember the number, but it traded back in for an absolutely obscene amount of money, as in what he paid. Like I think it was 150. I think it traded back in for like 25 or something.
Right.
Yeah. And then Game would probably put it back out on the shelf at 100 quid.
Crazy.
And they wonder why people don't trade games in anymore. But yeah. Why? What draws people to that kind of special edition? I will never know.
I don't get it. But then I'm the only thing that I've got gaming wise here is my Hitman, little bobbleheady man.
Right.
Dude, what was the deal with those? Were they giving them out at Eurogamer or something?
You had to play the demo. If you played the demo, you got a little Hitman.
So God knows how many
straight away, I
100,000.
said to everybody who was there, right, I don't know about anybody else, but we're queuing up to play that because I want one of those.
Mm.
And
to be fair, I played the Sniper Challenge and I wasn't overly blown away, so I'm not really too fussed about the new Hitman.
I bit gutted. I read the RPS article yesterday on it where they've done a bit of an extended play and said there's bits of it that just make your little Hitman heart sing, and there's bits of it that just don't work. Where it's virtually set piece, run and gun.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
I think it's because they're trying to tell a specific kind of story, and obviously the levels have got to work with that. So there are going to be levels where you're just running from the police and they're chasing you in helicopters and whatnot. And obviously that's not why we play Hitman games. So.
No.
It's irritating that they gave Jesper Kid the sack, and then they put in a level that was set in kind of a Chinese town, knowing how good the original Hong Kong theme was.
I mean, to me, like the whole Hitman experience was distilled in Hitman Blood Money when I made the hit in the Opera House.
Yeah.
And then I remember, like, as cool as fuck, just walking away and detonating the mine on the lampshade so it fell on the guy and killed him. And it didn't raise a single alarm. I just walked away. And to me, like, ever since then, if Hitman can't be like that, then it's not really Hitman.
Well, I think Absolution will be like that to an extent, because I think there's going to be a fairly even split between storyline, scripted missions, and then your typical Hitman kind of style playground where you scout it out and then assassinate them. But I think probably the most replay value that you're going to get out of the new Hitman is going to be the contracts mode.
Yeah, I heard about that. Looks interesting.
I think so long as there's a good variety of levels, and they're all big enough to like support lots of different ideas, then I think it's probably going to be a lot of fun. Even if the campaign isn't up to standards, I think the game could be just as good as Blood Money. In the end, you'll probably play it just as many times because you've got these online leaderboards with people putting up their own missions for you to have a go at. So
yeah,
I think they've really hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, that works for me. I can't help but think that the single-player version, given that it's Ubisoft who have single-handedly butchered the Ghost Recon series, I can't help but feel this is kind of Ghost Recon Hitman style, where they're taking away why we play the damn games in the first place to make some god-awful cinematic rubbish that we don't really give a monkeys about. But I've always played the Ghost Recon games for the co-op, for the terrorist hunts, for the fun outside of any kind of story that goes with it. And yeah, I reckon if they get that right, it'll be exactly that. It will just be... Okay, so it's got a single-player mode, but to be honest, I couldn't give a monkeys about that. I just want to play endless hits and done the way I want to do them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that they've left that in, and an almost Steam Workshop approach to editing up your own missions.
Ultimately, I think that's what's secured, though, the success of things like Skyrim on Steam, because there's suddenly access to all these different user-created differences, which can really streamline your approach. And the same with this Hitman Contracts mode. The idea of playing a level that a fan has created excites me more than playing a level that someone's created who couldn't even be bothered to rehire the same composer from the Hitman games. I'd rather see a true fan make a level. I'd rather play a level that Ian's constructed than something that's just been rushed out where I have to run away from a police helicopter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me, like Dave said, if they can get that right, then I'm sure it will be successful.
To be honest, I think the next logical step with the next Hitman game, if this one sells well enough, is full-on level construction with like a level editor where you literally build the level from scratch and share it on the internet.
That would be fantastic. That would be really good.
Talking about all the stuff that you can do in Skyrim, I had to laugh looking on Steam and seeing some expansion for Skyrim where you can build your own houses and you can adopt children and what have you.
What?
It does seem very, very weird. Yeah. I was thinking, of all the great stuff that you can get totally free, why on earth would anybody want to pay money for that? It's almost the Sky Sims.
The funny thing is that if you own the PC version, you can get those features for free, because there are mods that let you have your own house and stuff like that. It's for console owners, really. Console owners who want a little snippet of the piece of what it feels like to play it on PC.
Skyrim Hearthfire, there you go, that's what you want to have a look at.
Yeah.
£3.50 to play The Sims Skyrim style. Takes all sorts, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess the attitude is if it's sold that many million across the world, enough. If 100,000 people pick it up, it won't take them that long to make a decent million in any currency.
No, there's going to be some throwaway element to it as well.
Is Dawn Guard that's already out? That's also DLC.
Yep.
That's DLC more in the traditional sense that you actually get extra areas with extra missions and whatnot in, though. It's not just a little house editor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That is
I mean,
actually like a little mini expansion pack, which
yeah,
is...
that's better. Well, that's better. That's what you expect if they want extra money from. It'll be a big mix-up of games, and if we end up, folding in games that we saw at Eurogamer, then even better.
All right, let's fold in Hotline Miami then.
Oh yes, Hotline Miami.
Game
Unforgiving, 2D, retro-looking, harsh, violent. I didn't even get off the first level or the demo level.
No, I didn't complete any of them, but I know that I will complete all of them, and they've already got my money, and I don't even know when the damn thing's being released.
It's sometime this month, I think, which is good news.
Alright, so 3 weeks to go.
Brilliant fun.
Yeah,
So I will say that sitting in the darkened section of the indie area of Eurogamer with a screen with bright fluorescent purple colours and greens and oh god, it gave me a bit of a headache.
Right.
The art design on that game is just intense on the eyes.
Well, it looks
I'm just watching a video of it now because I had no idea what this was until you mentioned it.
Oh, if you watch my summary version video of all of us at Eurogamer, there's a little 30-second section of Ian repeatedly dying whilst playing it.
Yeah, I keep on throwing my head back as I'm getting killed, and it happens with monotonous regularity. I think the funniest though was Dave, wasn't it? When Dave was playing.
Oh yeah, god,
he kept on.
If only that had been caught
Same
on
thing.
camera.
And getting killed in the same way, to the point that I started guessing when he was going to die, and saying, bang, bang.
It was the same guy. I literally got out of the car to begin the level, opened the door, knocked out one guy, and then the guy on the opposite side of the room just shot me, just instantly. Repeatedly for about, I don't know how many times I did it before I worked out how to get around it.
Sounds interesting. It looks interesting, definitely.
Even though I just made no progress and I just
basically,
kept
it's like
dying. It's just so there's some addictive quality about it that you just want to keep playing to try and kill them, to try and work out how to do it because it's so challenging.
yeah, it's literally like playing a combination of a Commodore 64 top-down action game and the first Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's just you're running around. You got to get hold of a gun or other weapon, and then avoid death from all angles.
Yeah, and you get virtually no ammo, so every shot's got to count, and people will respond to noise, and it is just pure Twitch gaming, just done really compulsively.
Great soundtrack as well. Absolutely.
Very, very 80s.
Brilliant little 80s techno-y soundtracks in chiptune format.
Right.
When is it released?
I think
Sometime this
it's
month.
mid-October, I think it was.
Hmm.
Well, they've got
Weird.
my money already, so...
Did you do like the whole fry thing? Did you just like stand there and like just throw money at them until they said that's enough?
I mean, you could play it for as long as you liked at the show. Literally, I got back in, chucked the PC on, went straight to the web page and bought it there and then.
Oh, there you go. That's,
First thing I did when I got back.
That's the type of that you like to see that very often, that people get that passionate about a game. It's good that it still happens.
It's just such a laugh.
Mm.
I don't know
felt
if it's
so.
quite as good playing it on my own without someone looking over my shoulder laughing at my endless deaths, but I might just hire someone to do that.
Just sat there like Salacious Crumb from Return of the Jedi, just constantly cackling every time you died. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know
Yeah,
how
well, we all had to endure it. Everyone had to go, I think. I think the only person who didn't get a chance to play it was Dave because he was off looking for his kid. But
No, he did. When he came back, he got a go at it.
oh, did he?
Yeah, and suffered just like the rest of us.
It's all that matters, as long as he suffered. It's all that matters. Oh, our glorious lead has disappeared. What's going on?
What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
We're
It's gonna-
disorganised mess now.
It's going to descend into anarchy, isn't it? Basically, it's what's going to happen. So keep
Just
the ball rolling.
propose a square to make
Let's
them-
keep the ball rolling. Who here played Black Mesa Source?
No.
No.
Brilliant. Well, that's off to a flying start,
Tell
that
us
is, isn't
about
it?
it.
It is fantastic. It is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever played in my life because it is essentially a nice, up-to-date version of my favourite game of all time.
I have not played Half-Life either, I have to confess. But if...
Dave, I'm trying to like you.
Would you
really
say that,
hard.
as someone who hasn't played Half-Life, I should just
Mm.
skip Half-Life and play Black Mesa Source,
No.
and then play Half-Life 2?
What you should try to do is try and sneak both of them in. But yeah, if you wanted to start your Half-Life experience, you could do worse than just going from Black Mesa to Half-Life 2 onwards in the episodes. But I think the real key to what Black Mesa does is it makes these tiny, minute changes which, unless you've played through the first one several times, you wouldn't pick up on straight away, like different approaches to musical score and stuff like that. And it really feels like a fresh experience. When I got back on the Friday. I'd been out somewhere, and I got back on the Friday when it was released. I downloaded it, and I was so tired, but I waited.
Congratulations! You actually download it.
Yeah, because I wanted to play it so badly, and I booted it up, and it was like, I don't know, it really took me back in time. You know, it's like that first time I booted up Half-Life and I played it, I was absolutely blown away, and it did it again. It did it all again. Like playing the blast pit again was absolutely terrifying. Playing the level with the creatures underwater, the shark things, it's just again fantastic. Everything about that mod, and I can't believe I got it for free.
Yeah.
I've actually attempted to email the group and ask them, is there any way I can make a donation to their next project, because it feels like that's what I should do.
Yeah.
You know.
But not yet.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I'd recommend anyone to play it. Anyone who's a fan of first-person shooters should play it, and particularly people like Dave. If you haven't played the first Half-Life, now would be a good time.
Yeah, I'm in danger of going on Tank's blacklist forever here because I didn't like Half-Life.
Fair enough.
No, it took me a year and a half, 2 years to complete it. Sit down and complete all the rest of it properly. So
it's not everyone's cup of tea. I, for one, cannot stand Deus Ex. All of them. I don't like any of them, particularly the most recent one, because it's.
I mean, for me, Deus Ex, they were a set of games where, again, the soundtracks were blimmin' brilliant, but yeah, I didn't get the most out of the games that you could have, considering the first one you could complete it 53 different ways or something.
I don't know. Yeah, for me, there's only one game where I want to use a crowbar, and it ain't Deus Ex.
Yeah, exactly. Well, mind you, the good thing about with Black Mesa, all that's going to happen is when they bring out the other bit of it, that someone's going to throw up a wiki page with all the differences between Black Mesa and Half-Life Source, and between the two of them, because Half-Life Source is pretty much just a big port.
Well, Half-Life Source was just the original Half-Life, except they added water physics and actual physics.
Yeah.
And it didn't. If anything, it didn't work very well at all. It was really kind of despairing that you'd have all these very Quake 2 graphics, and then there'd be this very realistic-looking water. And they packaged it with the Half-Life 2 Special Edition, didn't they? That came in like the tin.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really bad.
I'm not really worried, simply because but when they did that 55% sale, it only cost me about 60p quid. So I'm not that tough on them about it.
I think what sticks in my head most about Black Mesa is a testament to what people can achieve.
Yeah.
To what a modder can do. I mean, we're in this age at the moment where loads of people, are making games in their bedrooms, releasing them on the iTunes store, the Android store, and just anywhere they can get them out and be played, and that's fantastic. But I think Black Mesa is definitely a
epic labour of love.
Yeah, definitely, because they started it in 2004, didn't they? And I was talking to someone the other day, like how many cool mods, actually don't see the light of day. Like, for years there was a Jurassic Park mod that was being made for Far Cry. That never surfaced.
Yeah.
And I think it happened again with Crysis. A screenshot was kicking around of someone had put a mod of a T-Rex into the Crytek engine. But beyond that, nothing else happened. But Black Mesa Source just constantly remained there. Just every now and then we'd be shown a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and they actually pulled it off, which I think is an amazing achievement. And I think it should be released on Steam. I think it should be given away on Steam.
It is.
No. I mean,
got the green light.
Oh, right. Oh god, yeah, you can download it through Steam, can't you? Shit,
Yeah.
I didn't do it that way. That's really retarded.
Ah.
But I would, if they'd released it on Steam at £10 or even £20, if I'd paid that, I would not have been disappointed.
I think what you mean is if Valve had let you put them on Steam.
Yeah, but
Yep, no worries. And in fact, Snowy's got to go. So thank you very much, Snowy.
Cheers, Ian. Take
No
care.
worries. Thank
Cheers,
you.
folks.
Good.
Dog's
Got
going.
the dog as well. Right,
Dog's
catch you later,
going
guys.
nuts.
See you later. Right. Okay. So
Right.
back to where we were.
Yeah. But no, Black Mesa. If I'd paid for it, I would have been happy.
Right.
If I'd paid the full amount for a game, and it is possibly my game of the year,
Right.
and I didn't
Yeah.
even pay
I
a
mean,
penny for it.
and for me, it's going to be the second. It's going to be the second game 2 years running. Where
Yeah.
It's a freebie. That's going to be my game of the year because last year it was technically Tribes, even though that was in beta. It was more or less complete. It was more or less what I'm playing now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I think it just got to a point where Duke Nukem Forever came out, and that was because compared to Duke Nukem Forever that they expected people to pay for, and it was just as disappointing as it would have been had they released it earlier. To have to wait as long for a free mod that turned out to be absolutely brilliant, or at least the first part of it.
The thing about
Then,
Duke
yeah, I'm
Nukem
happy.
is though, it wasn't just disappointing. It sort of bordered on offensive. It was like, right, I cannot believe this is all you've achieved. And yet with Black Mesa, they never really compromised their vision.
No.
It was like, we do want to kind of make a step-for-step remake, but we just want to tweak things ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Like, just change them for the better. And, I mean, one of the things they changed was the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, walking around Black Mesa at the start, the way people respond to you being there, and things like that. Just phenomenal stuff. And if whatever they do next, I mean, obviously they've got to do the Zen part of things. I might be the only person on the planet who actually enjoyed the Zen part of Half-Life.
Well, I did rush through it.
And I'm hoping that in the future they might move on to Opposing Force and Blue Shift as well.
A Blue Shift remake would be good, considering how short it was.
Yes, you could do it in a lunchtime. I remember Richard, I can't remember his name, from PC Gamer. He claimed that he completed it in an hour, like on his lunch. And I must admit, I didn't believe that until I played it myself. And I was like, yeah, you probably could have done that in a lunchtime. It really wasn't that long, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
and
another.
and obviously had the good hook for Half-Life 2.
Yeah, it was another part of the Half-Life universe which was worth seeing, which is worth experiencing. But again, it started to dangerously get towards that narrow end of the wedge of like you have to be a fan to enjoy this, which is never a healthy way to go for expansions.
Yeah.
As I think a lot of franchises now have proven. But yes, Black Mesa would definitely recommend that. One of my top games of the year. Dave, hurry up and play Half-Life. It's afforded a lot of people opportunity to relive a game which they might not have enjoyed because of the graphics.
Yeah, I think because not even if you'd put the texture pack on the old one.
Oh god, you couldn't have cleaned it up. I mean, I personally could sit and play through it now. Half-Life 1, I could do it right now, this moment, and it wouldn't bother me. But for some people, it would just be too much.
Yeah.
It would just, they couldn't do it. And that's fine. There's a lot of people out there that didn't start on the Quake 2 engine like we did.
Yeah.
Or however far back we go. But yeah, I played a small portion of Sleeping Dogs.
Aha! How did you find it? And as long as it's not crossing over your fridge stuff.
No, that's fine. Sleeping Dogs was a very, very, very positive experience. What I played the chase at the start on the docks. I did the first few quests. Saying quests in a game like that doesn't seem right. Missions, should we say? Yeah, that's better. I can see why people are enjoying it. It almost feels like what I expected from Grand Theft Auto. Like GTA 4 took a leap forward, and I think it was you, Dave, that you agreed with me on that. It got very dull. It got very serious. GTA 4. If I remember, it lost a lot of its humour.
I think as a result, all of the characters lost all of their charisma as well. It's at the end game sort of blends into one just big mushy memory.
Yeah,
because it's very bland.
But with Sleeping Dogs, you kind of really get behind the protagonist. You really kind of feel what he's going through and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really good. And but like I say, I didn't play a lot of it, so we'd probably best leaving a lot of this to Dave. But from what I did play, is very enjoyable. And obviously, Christmas round the corner. It's definitely on my Steam list to buy. That's for certain. Cool.
Cool. Yep, exactly. So yeah, we'll discuss that one in more detail later on. In terms of other games being played during the big season, I'm trying to remember what the other one was, because we've talked about all the others. Borderlands 2, Guild Wars 2, Hotline Miami at the show, Hitman Absolution at the show.
I'll tell you what. Because I'm sitting here with the Eurogamer program
Catalog
sat next to me, and
yes, like I should have had.
The front cover is just glaring at me, and I think we should give Dishonored a mention.
Absolutely.
Could someone tell me what it's about?
But
I don't think anyone can tell you what it's about.
It's
to be honest.
Some weirdo steampunk assassination game.
In a nutshell, yeah.
The only thing that concerns me is it feels like it's very much like insisting upon itself as a game. Like it seems very confident.
In terms of, put it this way, in terms of them trying really hard to set up an IP, yes, I see what you mean.
I really don't know what the game's about. I'm intrigued. I want to know what the game's about, but
when you play it, you probably won't figure it out either.
Yeah, I gathered there was a lot of confusion on the demo being played at Eurogamer.
Well, to be honest, it sort of just dumps you into a mission, and you're expected to, it doesn't really tell you anything about what the game's about. You're just expected to go and kill someone. And
not the best way to try and convince someone to buy your game, is it? Not really.
No, and there was a lot of secrecy over like the content of the game, because there was a 2-hour dev session where they showed it off, and that didn't get broadcast anywhere. And anyone who took videos on like camera phones or video cameras of the booth where everyone was playing the demo were told to delete the video footage. So I think that they're trying to keep it under wraps.
On pain of baseball bats,
yeah.
But in this day and age, that seems like a very bizarre request to make.
I know, you'd think they'd enjoy the publicity of.
Well, especially, isn't it out next week?
Yes, I think so. You can preload it on Steam right now.
So trying to hide things now seems a bit irrelevant to me, especially a show when you would want people to get excited about I mean, surely some of the best marketing you could have is someone to take footage of your game on a phone.
I wish.
And then show it to their friends.
I could, playing devil's advocate for 1 second, I can perfectly understand them not wanting someone to say, "I will drive traffic to my site by spoiling the entire story of this game, which this company has spent 2 years developing."
That's true.
That's fair.
Because they have pretty much kept it under wraps for the entire development session, really, haven't they? Since it was announced, they haven't really leaked a whole lot of information beyond you're a guy out for revenge, and you have numerous means of killing people. That's pretty much all they've ever said about it.
I can still remember when Dave put up the topic for it, and I remember distinctly seeing that screenshot of the Game Informer cover for it. And then, literally, that was the last time I checked in on it. And then, before you know it, suddenly everyone's talking about this game. And I was like, oh, is that still being made? I was really... it just came out right out of left field for me. So, yeah, I mean, I want it to be good, but
I think it will be good. A lot of people came away from Eurogamer thinking it was great because it was been voted the game of the show. So
that's always a good sign.
The demos were running... Neth played it on a bigger screen, but around the back of the main booth, they were running demos on Xboxes on little 17-inch widescreen monitors, and it looked terrible. So for people to have played the demo on that absolutely dreadful screen and then still come away thinking that was brilliant, that was the best game I've played all day, it must be something good.
Yeah.
Was it yourself who said that apparently the console version didn't look very good? Was that you or Phil? I can't remember who.
Yeah, everything looked pixelated. The textures looked really low quality to me. Because as a PC gamer who doesn't really touch the consoles very often, I tend to run everything on high on a nice big monitor.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah,
So to go from my normal environment to playing a console game where everything's lower res, like it's 720p, it's quite a noticeable difference. So for me, I think that it did look quite dreadful on the Xbox. But as the game itself plays brilliantly. But people, because I think the art designer behind it designed everything in Half-Life 2,
Mm.
I think. But I get a really big BioShock vibe when I played it, because there's the whole aesthetic of the steampunk and the dystopian future kind of thing.
Mm.
It looks like Rapture basically.
Mm.
And the way that the combat works is you've got your knife in one hand, and then the left hand, the offhand, you dictate what you put in it, like a crossbow, or you can cycle between various powers like teleporting or stopping time and possessing people. And it sort of feels similar to the whole weapon and plasmid thing from BioShock as well.
Mm.
So it's sort of a big mishmash of all these games that everyone loves in a setting which no one really knows much about.
Yeah.
So I think it could be incredibly good because the levels aren't really sandboxy. They are linear to an extent because it does feel quite enclosed, but you do have a lot of options within the level as to how you're going to approach it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've seen the interactive trailer that they released not long ago.
I haven't. No, I've not really seen a lot of publicity for it.
I think there's a trailer released just after Eurogamer last week where it's on YouTube and it's got the in-screen videos on YouTube. You click what action you want to take next, and it'll load up
Yeah.
the next section of the trailer, and you'll go through the level as you please. And there's so many different ways of doing it,
Mm.
despite the fact it's all in a fairly enclosed area. Like you're in an alleyway trying to get into like a couple of buildings, but
Yeah.
there'll be so many different paths that I think it's going to have quite a lot of replay value. You don't need a huge sandbox open world to create something where you can come back to it and experience it a different way time and time again.
Yeah.
So I think I'm quite looking forward to it. I think I might actually pick it up when it comes out.
Mm. Well, I mean, it's absolutely, it's gone on my to buy list. Whether I don't think I'll buy it on launch. I think it's definitely piqued my interest. Absolutely, it really does look like something interesting. And obviously, I'll see what feedback you guys have on it, and if it turns out to be good, then I'll might even make it to the Christmas list. But yeah, I could see why. I'm starting to now see why it's perhaps getting this praise it's been getting.
Well, it's a shame that we haven't got Ian and Prey Dave here because Ian played the demo and he'd gone from approaching it thinking, "Oh, this looks interesting. I might buy this." And after he played it, he said, "No, it's not really for me."
Mm.
And Prey Dave tried it and he loved it.
Hmm.
So it would have been interesting to get a couple more opinions. I don't know what Ken thought about it because Ken first to sit down and try it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it was a game where, for once, I was able to sit down and play a console game, and it wasn't, oh, which button do I press for this or that? You know, they stuck fairly closely to Halo's control set, so there wasn't a problem with having the multiple options on which weapon in which hand that you were going to have combat with. And well, for me, the low texture stuff wasn't an issue if you were playing on a big. That was, I mean, the Eurogamer show was the first time I'd ever played games on a TV screen compared to a 22-inch monitor. You know, so the fact that they were low res textures, given that I had my nose jammed up to the screen almost, that was okay. And I think it's just because it's a French game, and France developed a lot of kind of esoteric games in the 90s like Flashback and Fade to Black and other games where you were looking at it and you think, wow, this is something just altogether different. It's not a straightforward tick the boxes RPG or shoot 'em up or FPS or stealth game. They really have thrown everything together and come up with this weird mix. And you can see what they were really heavily pimping it on the front cover of the program and on the big flag displays on the front of Earl's Court. So, I mean, I suppose their attitude is it's worth shouting about, you know, in the proper way, and they're going to give it a really, really big push, lots of hype, and they'll just see how well it does, sales-wise.
Mm.
But
Well,
games-wise, I would put it this way: I wouldn't buy it on 360. Just for the sake of wanting the option of mouse control for those two-handed combat system.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I've very old-fashioned approach. Like when I had an Xbox 360, I didn't buy very many first-person shooters. I always felt they were much better on a mouse and keyboard, and I still maintain that that's the way it should be played. However, totally see why people do it the way they do it. Right? You know why they play it on control pad, but I don't think. Yeah, I think that'd definitely be a PC play for me. Absolutely.
Well, the thing about Dishonored is that it's not really a first-person shooter at all, because your main weapon is your knife. That is, you don't. I don't think you ever get the option of changing what's in your right hand. It's always going to be this long knife.
Yeah.
And then I think you can get a pistol and a crossbow, and everything else is a variance between different kinds of like magic powers that you get. So there's not really a whole lot of shooting involved. So it is perfectly playable with a pad. It's not like trying to play a Battlefield with a thumbstick, which is excruciatingly painful.
Yeah, tell me about it. I also think that as well as we move forward as well, I'm hoping that I'll see more titles like Dishonored that get that kind of that big push on the first launch, if that makes sense, like new IPs, because it is refreshing to see someone have so much faith in their product. You know,
there have been a few new IPs in the past few years that didn't really get the same level of money thrown at the marketing, like EA games, Dead Space, and Mirror's Edge. They weren't ever really put out there.
Yeah, Dead Space. I only really knew about that fleetingly, and it turned out to be a really good game. But I mean, if that had more of the marketing that, like, say, something like Dishonored had, then maybe could have really got the respect it deserved. Was there anything Dead Space 3 related at Eurogamer?
There was a booth there, but we just did not see it at all.
That's a shame.
There are a few things there actually that I was going into the building interested in playing, and I just completely didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
booth anywhere.
I mean, it was kind of weird to pimp Carmageddon with a big Range Rover outside, all decked up in the style of the car that's in the game, but then to find out that it's an app.
Yeah.
You know, so the demo was only on an iPad or an Android tablet, and so in other words, because of that, we were all walking around. I was walking around looking for it on a PC or a console or whatever, and it's just for the phones at the moment.
Yeah. Did anyone get to play Tomb Raider?
No, but we did get a pretty detailed look at it whilst we were queuing up for Hitman.
And looks absolutely terrific.
It's a gorgeous looking game. It looks.
Because I mean, I'm such a big fan of the
consoles.
Tomb Raider games. I loved the two. I think I've only played one Tomb Raider game I didn't like, and even then I finished it. That was Angel of Darkness.
Okay.
I mean, and that was just bad. It wasn't just a bad game; it was a broken game as well.
I remember the broken part. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dying twice in the tutorial was not a good way to start a game. That always leaves a bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it?
Are you sure you just didn't suck?
Well, I'll admit there is that part to it, but my favourite bug was when you were shimmying on things and there'd be a thing where it'd reset the controls, so you'd just drop because the computer would suddenly think, oh, he's not pushing E anymore. And you'd fall off, and I'd be like, brilliant, okay. What should be a pretty simple section to pass is actually becoming excruciatingly difficult. But yeah, I look forward to the new Tomb Raider, definitely. I like its approach to things.
I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to stay true to like what Tomb Raider is really about. Because
yeah, but that's a good thing, though, in my opinion.
Because from what I've seen and what I've heard so far, the beginning of the game, up to maybe like the first third, the first half, is very sort of survivally kind of horror, atmospheric kind of thing, where you're running around in this. I think is it a plane crash or a boat?
It's a boat crash, isn't it?
It's a boat, yeah.
It's been washed up, yeah.
Yeah, you're running around in this wreckage trying to find survivors, and you're experiencing all the crazy people on the island, and basically Laura is just struggling to survive, really. And then as the game progresses, I think it turns into more of an Uncharted thing. Where you do steadily acquire weapons, and then it just turns into a third-person shooter, basically.
Yeah.
Which
it doesn't play out like that.
I know it'd be good if it was more like the original games, where the deeper you go into the island, the more platforming elements there are, and the more tombs there are to explore, rather than putting the emphasis on the bad guys all having guns and all trying to shoot you. Because Tomb Raider Legend, I think, was the last one I played, and there was far too much shooting in that game. Yeah,
definitely.
And it looks like that is what the reboot eventually turns into.
I don't mind. I genuinely don't mind the shooting as long as it doesn't become a cover-based third-person shooter. Because to be fair, towards the end of the original Tomb Raider on the PS1, there was a lot of shooting in that. That became very shooty very quickly.
Yeah.
And I remember reading somewhere that in Tomb Raider there was going to be an option where you could use your weapons to actually support you, so you could move quicker. Like, isn't there a point in it where she breaks her leg or something, and you have an axe, and instead of using it as a weapon, you can strap it to your leg?
I thought you were about to say she can cut her leg off.
No, but you can move faster. I'm sure I read something about that. But I like the idea of going back to Tomb Raider's roots. I like the idea of going back to why she became the way she did in the first place.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading when I brought it on the PS1 back when I was 13 or 14. God, that seems so long ago. Well, it is long ago. But when I opened the manual and there was this beautiful description about how she'd survived a plane crash or something, and had survived for like 2 years in the jungle or something. There's some sort of origin story like that.
Yeah.
And I think after Tomb Raider Underworld, it'd be nice to have a complete another stab at it, because what kept Tomb Raider going was when Legend came out. For all of Legend's faults, it really did give Tomb Raider a kick up the arse, as far as franchises go. What's weird is Uncharted seems to have taken a lot of the mantle from it. Because Uncharted has gone into that territory which Lara should have gone into. That sort of, not tongue-in-cheek humour, but that kind of Indiana Jones style black humour. You know, some of the set pieces in Uncharted are breathtaking. Regardless of the quality of the game, they are fantastic set pieces.
That's the thing, though. I think Uncharted is too on rails, and too much of it is done for you.
Yeah.
I don't think Tomb Raider would have
An
been
interactive film.
If it had gone in that direction, I don't think Tomb Raider would have been quite as good. Because Tomb Raider was always about just being dumped into a level and trying to find your way through.
Did you play Underworld, though?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, you see, Tomb Raider Underworld kind of does what you say there, but it becomes very annoying very early on in the game when you're dumped in the middle of this really complex level, and it does it every time. Like, you suddenly find yourself completely lost. And I know that's what Tomb Raider is, effectively, but it always starts you with something. There's always kind of like, right, there's a ledge there I can jump onto, and But in Tomb Raider Underworld, I mean, one of the levels literally starts where you're underwater. You're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And you have to dive down deeper. And for a man who suffers from agoraphobia, that terrified me. It really, no, seriously, it really did. It scared me good and proper. In Uncharted, you don't. In Uncharted, you have a very linear experience, and I think you need to strike up a sort of a
happy balance.
Yeah, of the both. Because, like I say, the set pieces in Uncharted are fantastic, but when the whole game feels like a set piece,
yeah,
you've kind of got a problem. Like, I love the level in Uncharted 3 when you're hanging out the back of the Hercules bomber. You're hanging onto the back of all the carriage and everything. It's just incredible. It looked amazing, but when you realise you're only pushing buttons when it tells you to push the buttons.
Oh, kind of quick time event thinking.
Yeah. I don't mind quick time events when they're used properly, but they're only very rarely used properly.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I mean, at least the good thing is, Tomb Raider. It's Tomb Raider. What? It's Sunday. I'm tired. Tomb Raider rebooted. Looks. I mean, it's like FIFA, and it's a reliable kind of Christmas banker game, isn't it? I mean, it'll be out. It'll sell 1 million or so. There'll be another one, and basically, I think, as you said, that they've done what's necessary in order to make sure that there will be another one. So, even before it's out, it'll sell loads.
Because on the PC this time as well, it's not boxed, is it? It's a digital product.
What?
Yeah, I can see the point in doing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bit like what they've done with Command and Conquer, where I used to treat those like collectibles, like the collection of a book series almost, where I've got every single one on my shelf.
Right, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's download only. So there's going to be one. There's going to be one there now where unless you buy the console version, you're going to be missing one in the collection.
Yeah. So
it's a pain.
Cool. Right. Did any of you guys get to play Far Cry 3 at Eurogamer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all did.
What was your take on that? Because obviously Dave really has a hard on for that franchise.
To be honest, I didn't think the demo was that impressive, to be honest. But I can see why it's a lot better than Far Cry 2, just instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, they took a few notes from Crysis in terms of just generally driving around, or at least I don't know which game ripped the other one off, but you can see the similarities.
I think the problem with the demo at Eurogamer that I found was that they just dumped you into the middle of an area on their map with absolutely nothing to do, and you just had to sort of explore the landmarks because you could see like towers on hills and
Yeah.
ships on the shore, and you just had to find your way around and just find something to do.
Not the best basis for a demo, is it? Not really.
No, because it wasn't guided in any way whatsoever. So literally, I spent most of the 20 minutes just running around in the trees with a pistol trying to find some enemies to shoot. So
It was very enemy light, wasn't it?
yeah, if it had been a bit more guided, like if they put you on like a little linear section or something, or just maybe even just restricted the size of the area you could run around in, so that you had to follow a certain quest marker or whatever.
Did you play it on a console or a PC?
It was a PC, but
Yeah.
there was an
'Cause-
Xbox 360 pad plugged into the side of it, and whenever when you get screen prompts to tell you what keys to press on your keyboard,
Yeah.
all of those screen prompts appeared with the 360 controls, so I didn't have a clue how most of the keyboard controls worked.
Well, because it seems to me like someone posted the specs, didn't they? On Friday, and that seems really overestimated to me. Like, it's not that Far Cry 3 doesn't look good, but I don't understand how it needs that much power.
To be honest, it didn't actually look that impressive in the demo.
I didn't think so.
I think it was obviously running on not amazing quality computers because they had about 70 of them, but it didn't really look. I think it was probably running in DirectX 9 or something. And it's
Yeah, you see, that leaves a
technically-
bit of a sour taste, really. Because, I mean, I looked at some old screenshots of Far Cry 2 the other day that I'd taken. And it's not that I'm not impressed by Far Cry 2, but I don't know. It seems to just be lacking something that others have, if that makes sense.
Gameplay?
Yeah, I know.
Cut it.
Yeah.
I think the Far Cry 2 graphics look a little bit too plasticky. Like it's got Call of Duty syndrome a little bit. Everyone looks like they're just molded out of.
I'll tell you what bothered me most about the graphics was everything was defined to one color palette. So everything was like an orange or an earthy color,
Yeah.
and it never broke from that. Like when it rained, nothing glistened, and it just looked so bad when it rained. And even when there was a blue sky, it didn't look any different.
Well, you'll like Far Cry 3 then because they've switched the color palette from orange to green.
Hey, green's my favourite colour.
It is. They've kind of gone back to
Far Cry.
Far Cry, yeah.
Well, that's good. That's not a bad thing.
No, when you walk out of the cave at the start of Far Cry and you've got that island there.
Yeah,
So that was a real gaming epiphany moment for me. It's just like, holy shit.
pretty defining moment for a lot of people, wasn't it? When you step out of that. You step out of that bunker into the sunlight, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Not for me.
They've
I
gone
think
back there.
at the time when I played that, I had about 5 frames per second on an ancient computer. So.
No, back then I was very fierce about my PC gaming, and I was very, very prepared for that game when it came out. There was no way I wasn't going to be prepared. And it's just like, and the weird thing is, like, you do all that updating, and then I finished Far Cry in like I think a week, and I've never gone back to it. I've never had to push to replay it.
I never finished the
all.
first one.
You weren't
It took-
missing much.
It took a nasty turn after the little monkey mutant things turned up, and I sort of lost interest.
To me, they didn't ruin it. What ruined it for me was the fact that the monkeys were so hard to kill. They just jump on you and that's it. You'd be out for the count, and it'd be like, well, it's not Resident Evil, is it?
Yeah, bit too much like Serious Sam. Everything just charges at you.
Yeah, where's the point in having all this advanced AI and scenery for them to hide behind if all they do is just run at you?
Well, debatably advanced AI.
Well, you know what I mean. When you read the box art, you think, ooh.
Better than the AI in Far Cry 2, though, that's for sure. That was a step
God,
back.
yeah. I used to love it when they'd try and run you over, and then they'd just sit in the car for a bit. Like, oh, God, nearly hit you then. And then they sort of get out of the car, and it's like, dude, I'm just going to shoot you in the face, so it's up to you. Oh, why couldn't that game have been better? So annoyed.
I think it was designed with good intentions, but at the time they just couldn't pull it off. I think if they developed it as a PC game only, they might have been able to, but obviously
But see,
they had to develop it in conjunction with the limits of the consoles, so just
but this is why I'm nervous about Far Cry 3, because again, we're getting those same similar promises. We're getting, don't worry, we've learned from our mistakes kind of deal. And to be fair this time, I'm not going to buy into it. I'm just going to wait.
I think a lot of the problems from what I've seen of the demo so far have been addressed. But obviously, some of them you won't really be able to tell until you get your hands on a full
Yeah.
retail copy of the game. But I think it's looking quite hopeful that they've improved upon everything that was wrong with the second one.
Well, I hope so, and I'm used to being wrong at the moment now. Well, I'm going to have to leave you there, guys.
Let me say, right, thanks very much to
Oh,
Tank.
you're welcome. Welcome.
Uh,
Been a pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again. That'd
Excellent.
be great.
Thanks a lot, mate. See you later. And thanks very much to Mantis.
You're welcome. Regarding Company of Heroes 2, as a test of loyalty
Yep.
to our listeners,
Yes.
anyone who's listening now,
Yep.
the first person to PM me
Right.
will get an early access beta code for Company of Heroes 2 beta. So
Can't
if
say
you've
fairer
listened
than
all the
that.
way to the end of the podcast, congratulations, PM me, and you'll get a beta code.
Exactly. Perfect.
So leave
Yep.
that in.
Yeah, I'll definitely leave that in because it's good to have kind of instant competitions, stuff like that.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot. And this is me, Kenneth Henry, signing off. Join us again for the Page One podcast. Sign up to the forum. No more www. It's just forum.preys-world.com. Tanks Fridge. Just Google Tanks Fridge when you are searching on YouTube to bring up his videos. So check out all that stuff online. And give us a bunch of ratings on YouTube or come back to the thread in the forum.